Yep.
Right, we're in Oakley. It's Sunday. There's only me and Adam in today because we've got no life whatsoever. No life, no wife, nothing like that. Right, so we're going to clad this building now in cedar. It's coming to the end now. We're using Western red cedar. It's 18mm thick. It's got a 83mm face coverage on it. I think it's 83. Let's have a look. Well, 84mm. So the face coverage is from that point there to that point there, because obviously you don't see the tongue. It's a tongue and groove board, a T&G board. So what happens is you've got a tongue, you've got a groove, each board pops into each one, and we secret nail it through that point there. So we'll nail it at an angle like that, and so the nails will be hid by that groove there then. If you've watched ours before, we put a sloped roof on ours. We don't use fairings because they're a nightmare and they're a pain in the arse anyway. So what we're going to do, we're going to use this 2B1 batten there because that's going to be our gap on the floor. The guys have come in and they've paved it. I'll show you this when they've finished it. I'd like to say we've done it, but we haven't. Absolutely spot on bit of paving. So what we're going to do, we're going to use this, like I said. We're going to use that board there to space it off the floor, because if they've put the patio down and they've put like a slight gradient on it, we don't want to put ours on level and then you'll be able to see a gradient. So we are going to follow the gradient of the floor by packing it off like that. What I'll do, I'll give Adam a couple of measurements. I'll measure off there and I'll measure just shy of the top, and every 2 or 3 boards it will decrease, and I'll just keep measuring it and he'll just keep cutting it. That of course then will leave a little gap at the top, which is fine. That's what we do, and then we put a bead on there to conceal the gap and to follow the pitch of the roof, which is running that way. There's a window going in as well. Sorry, there is a window in as well, so I'll show you how we do the reveals. I'll show you the architraves around the window as well. I've bloody forgotten that sill cap there, it's at Grace's. So there's a sill cap still to go on there, obviously. You can see there our cable to run externally. I know the electricians don't like it, but there's nothing wrong with it, it's fine. So the cables are there, so when I'm pinning through there I can actually see where the cables are, move it out the way when I pin it so it's not going to get hit, and then that'll all be concealed. That's where they go into the consumer unit, that's sealed as well. Right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to drop on this cedar. Have I showed you the pins? Right, these are what we're going to use to fix them. They're firmer hold, they are 50mm brads, and they are stainless steel. The reason why they're stainless steel is so that they don't corrode and stain the cedar. So 50mm brads. We're going to use the PAS load first. It's a second fixed gun. It's a second fixed gun. What model is it, Adam? Can't remember. It's an 18 gauge one now. The reason why we use 18 gauge and not 16 gauge is it leaves less of a hole where the pin goes in. So we'll be using that until the gas runs out, because being Sunday, we've had a drink last night and we've forgotten stuff. So we'll use that till the gas runs out, and then we've also got a Milwaukee second fix 18 gauge, which we're going to then jump on as well, which of course is gasless. Right, so what I've done, obviously we're going to follow the gradient of the floor, but what will happen when I put that on there, and when I put 3 or 4 on, what will happen then, I won't be able to get my slate out. So I'm going to pop this 1mm packer under it, and then that will aid me. So your first one wants to be dead plumb. Now if your building's moved slightly when you've built it, then what you need to do is get your first one on plumb. But if you have a look at that, Adam, there, that's on the slate, that's there, and it's more or less 100% right, so I'm happy with that anyway. So what I'm going to do now, I'm sat on there, I'm going to get this one dead right. There we go. So that's right now, so I'm just holding that with my finger, it's not moved. And what I'm going to do, because we use a corner bead, I'm then going to face fix it there and there, because that corner bead then will conceal them face fixings. And this is what I mean by these now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to fire that in there, and then that there, if you can see that, Adam, I don't know how well you can zoom in, can you see it there? So what I've done, let me just go get a little bit of cedar and I'll show you. So what I've done, I've fixed it through the tongue, and then when the next bit of cedar goes on there, it will then conceal the fixing, so you won't see that, and obviously just keep on going like that all the way along. So that's it, get your first one right, get it nice and plumb, and then off you go. I'd definitely recommend 18 gauge pinner. So what Adam will do now, he'll cut me 4 at the same size and I'll just keep giving him measurements. So what I've done, you can see the slate like there, then pull the packer out like that. A little bit time consuming, but you'll get a lovely detail on it, and then you can see that's free to move then. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep doing that all the way along and get this wall seeded, and then we'll oil it as well. Right, so let's see where we are now. We've come across there, that fell nicely there on that window, so we didn't have to cut that one out. Again, I'm using my little packer on floor, I don't know if Adam can just see that in there. Sliding my mill packer out as we go, which has worked really well as it happens. So this one here, let me just explain what else I've done and all. So this is where, if you've got some crap boards, this is where you can get rid of them. So what Adam's done, I've given him a measurement for top and bottom, and he's found where the bit of crap is, where there's a knot or a chip or something like that, and he's got rid of it. So all these boards were on the pile that we weren't going to use, and now they have been used. So it's a little tip for you if that's where you want to get rid of them boards. Right, so this board here, it needs to go into that sill there to close that gap. So what I'm going to do, I'm literally going to mark that there, and I know it's the length of the tongue that I want to take out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to then take that full length out all the way up to there, because what we want, obviously when that goes in there, it'll be plumb because they're plumb, and what we want, we don't want that hanging over there, because then by the time we put our reveal on, the reveal will be catching on the window. So what we want is to cut this section out. So I'll just show you what I'm going to do basically. So let's say this is a full board. I'm going to cut a C section out of it like that. So that'll all go. It'll then allow the board to push across, and then it'll allow that reveal to look nice there and not impede on the window when the window opens as well. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut that out. Like I say, we're going to put a bead across the top there. So rather than measuring every single board, what we do is we give him, like, he cuts maybe 3 or 4 at a time, and then we drop another 5mm and drop another 5mm, because what will happen is there'll be a 20mm bead go across there, that angle, and it will cover all that, and it's absolutely spot on finish there as well. Right, so I'll cut this. I'll cut it with, what will I cut it with, Adam? What have we got?
Circular saw.
Circular saw. We'll cut it with a circular saw, and then we're going to have some breakfast. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. I can't think what we're going to do then. Right.
You're going to talk about your haircut?
Oh, my haircut. So I cut my hair myself, as you might be able to tell.
Turn around.
Adam reckons that I'm like a certain... I won't say the word because YouTube go mad at that kind of thing, but I do a lot of drives and stuff like that, and I'll fight any man. Right, Adam. Okay, so you can see... Oh, God, how say that though? Okay. You can see where I've cut the sort of the C section out of it. That's what I like to call it. I don't know, it's like a backward C, but if it's coming that way, it's a forward C. Anyway, I've cut that piece out there. So what I'm going to do now, I'm sat on my little packer down there. I'm going to pop that in. There we go, it's in. Right, so let me just show you what'll happen now. There we go. Right, and because we've used the same board, top and bottom, then if you've got a slight deviation in the 83mm face, you're not going to end up with one board wider than other up there, so you always use the same cut. So there you go, that's popped in there now, and when we cut this reveal now, we'll pick that foam back a little bit more, and then that will sit on there like that. The window will still open, we'll put a trim on there, and then that will be finished all nice and neat and look lovely. Right, so again, I'm going to pin it through the tongue now. I don't know if Adam can see that. Can you see it? Going at an angle. And what I'll also do, I'll just show you now. There. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to first fix it through the side there, just into the slate batten. I don't know if you can see that there, can you, Adam? So I've gone through there in an angle into the batten, so that is fixed, and then that will then be concealed by the sun, by the other one. Okay. Right, so we've got the wall done. What we're going to do now is do the reveals. Obviously I've cut them round like so. I've picked this foam back now. So what we're going to do is just another piece of cedar. What I've done, I've held it up like that. Let me just take this out of my hand. I've held it up like that. I've then marked the back side of it. There you go. I've then run it through the table saw to create this piece of timber. Obviously it's been through table saw, so it needs a little plane up there. But basically that'll go on there. We'll fix up through there, and we'll fix up into the slate battens as well. And then there's obviously I'll plane that edge there, and then there's an architrave go on there as well. Exactly the same for the side. This bit won't fit because it's 1200 long and there a metre, but exactly the same on side, there, and then that'll go in. Like I say, it's been through power plane, so it just wants, not power plane, it's been through table, so it just wants a little plane. Just want to take a right little bit off it. So that's that one. What I'll do now, I'll fix this one up here. What I've done there, I've just took the back of the groove off, just because it's just catching on this form, just to allow it to pop back nice. You can see that sat in there lovely. So what I'll do now, I'll fix it up into them. So this is why we're using an 18 gauge pinner as well, because it leaves a smaller head hole. What I'll do now, I've put these through as well, so they've been through table saw, they want plain enough, and then they want cutting. Again, that'll go in there like that. I'll obviously cut it to height, I'll pin that, and then I'll show you architrave going on. Yeah. So the top is the top is in. The top is in. Yes, it's definitely in. Right. So we're going to put the left cheek in now. So obviously we're using the groove side to the window, but that gives that nice little chamfered detail as well in there. So Adam's cut this. What we're going to do, we'll put the head in first, and I'll tell you why. Right, just put the head in first. Can you see that little gap there? Just a bit dark. There's a right little gap there, it's probably not even a mill. What I'm doing, I'm just going to push that up to meet that, to seal that, and then the mill gap's transferred to down there, but obviously when I seal around the window, that'll be sealed, so that'll be fine. So that's going to get fixed on there like that. That's the architrave detail. It's like a bit of, I think it's 47 by 18 mil or something, and then that goes on there like that. And what we'll do, we'll cut it round the window and drop it down. I'll show you why we're going to do that as well. But that'll go around there like that. There's a little architrave detail, so I'll finish that. So I'll get that on there now, and then we'll do other side, and then I'll show you the architrave detail. Right, so this is the last reveal now I'm going to put in. I'm going to pop it in there like that. I've already planed it down. There's my little architrave. That'll cover that. Looks nice there. What I've done there, look, you can see where the little sill trim. I've forgotten to bring the sill trim for that one there because it was missing. But what I've done there, I don't know if you can see, I've just chamfered the back of that so it glides over the top of that sill trim like it does there now, and it fits back tight, and then that architrave will then sit on there. But I'll show you how we cut them round there as well. So just pin this on, pushing it to the top. Now, when I said architrave, I don't know why I've called it that. I know it's not an architrave, it's an architrave. I get pulled on it quite a lot, but it's something I've always called it. I know it's not the right term, but it is what it is. And I've got reset team calling them architraves as well. So that's my reveals gone round there now. I'm going to put my architraves on. They're going to go around like that, and what we're going to do then, we butt joint them, and I'll tell you why we butt joint them, because if you miter them, it's outside, it's going to open up and it'll look a dog, whereas if you put them over the top, it looks absolutely lovely, and it stays looking like that as well for the duration of the build. The duration of the build? For the life of the build.
Yeah,
but if you put a miter on there, it will open up and it'll look horrible. Yeah. Right, so this is the architrave. What I'm going to do now, I'm just architrave. What I'm going to do now is I've just took the sharp edges off, and I've just put a little chamfer on there as well, because I'll show you bottom detail in a minute, but when that goes on there like that, my top one's going to go over the top like that, I'll also take the sharp edge off there, just take the Harris off and just create that detail there, and I'll let that top architrave, I'll let the top architrave hang over 10mm both sides.
You said it right.
So that's there. What I've done there, look, I've cut a little notch around that windowsill. Obviously my end cap needs to go on there, I still haven't got that. I've cut a little end notch, slide it on, pop it in. I'm going to fix it through there, first fix it. Again, 18 gauge nail, smaller heads. First fix that, I'll get my other leg on and then I'll get my head, and that will be the wall almost finished. I've just got to put the top bead on and I'll show you how I'm going to do that as well and show you why we do it and the way we do it. So this is where you've got a fair old chance of coming out through the face and it'll be all ruined. So it might be worth having keep filming and just see what happens. I'm just sending it back at an ever so slight little angle. So what I'll do, it only needs, you don't have to go crazy with your fixings. What I'll do, I'll just take that off Adam and I'll show you the top there. So we've put the reveals on and now we're putting our Architrave on, which will then conceal everything and make it look nice and finished. What is it? Architrave? Trave. Right, so these are the angled corners that we use, they're pre-made for us. So what will happen is, obviously a cedar will go over the front of there and then that corner will then go over there, tidy all that up and look really nice. So what I've done, I've determined how far back it's going to stand with the thickness of the cedar, and I've put myself a little mark there. We've cut this bead, we've just run it down at some cedar, some 20mm beads. So obviously I'm all sort of up and down there because I've tried to keep it dead level at the bottom, which I have managed to do. So I'll just put that bead like that. I've just took a little chamfer off there, just so when that sits in there, it looks tidy like that. Can you see it, Adam? Yeah? So that'll sit in there and lovely like that. So what I'll do now, I'll just push that bead up to where it wants to be, and we'll just go along and pin it like that, and that there is, so that there will tidy up all that. What's up? Thought you were laughing. So that there will tidy up the top of that for me, make it look nice. Again, 18 gauge, base fixing, and the holes are practically much. Look, after a little while, when it's weathered, they'll disappear anyway, and you're not going to see them then. Not so much anyway. So, what's going to happen now? I'm going to do the same at the back. We're going to have metal cladding on the back of this one, so I'll work out where the corner's going to finish, and then I'll cut the remaining bead. And once that's in, I'll clear this area up then, and we'll get it oiled, and I'll show you what we're going to use to oil it as well. So I'm giving it a coat of this. Ultra-roll. I can't pronounce it. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's got a UV protector in it as well. It's a nice, good quality oil. It's bloody expensive though. 5 litre tin's like 200 quid. To the bloke who told me that he could get for 20 quid a tin, I have replied, and you never replied, so I'm guessing you're talking at your backside, but it's really expensive. You don't have to be a paint and decorate to put on. You just make sure it's brushed well into the grain, get it in nice and thick, brush it all in, and then that'll protect it for a while. What we've done though, we've put this membrane down the floor because obviously we don't want to get oil on the flags that they've just been laid, because that ain't going to come off. So that's that, and we've had them just steps back now, you'll be able to see it. Fully, I've shown you how to do around windows, I've showed you it reveals on windows. We're oiling it now, we've put us little trims on here and there where they needed to be. And we'll be back tomorrow and we'll get it finished tomorrow hopefully. And that'll be it. So, if you'd like to like, subscribe, follow, what do you say? Like, subscribe and follow, share, comment, whatever it is you want to do. I don't know what I'm talking about, but do that and that would be great. Thanks for your support, and you're not so support some people as well, which is absolutely fine as well. Okay, so we'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get this building fully seeded if we're not in the way of the pavers.